Hi everybody, Dave Galt with Remax Team Galt. It is Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving 2011, and I hope you're as excited as I am. It's always a wonderful time to be with family and loved ones and friends, and obviously you get the opportunity typically to enjoy some really good food on top of it. So I'm excited to see my family, and I hope you're feeling the same way. This year is no different than any other year for the last about 7 years at least, where we talk about family traditions, especially at this time of year. Everybody has their traditional things they like to eat, or maybe they like to go around the table and say something they're thankful for. And back in 2004, I read an article in the Noblesville Daily Times that inspired me to write to the author, and they ended up publishing that response to the article. And it was, long story short, it was a tradition that my mother had started many years ago, and it continued. And my mother passed away in 2003. So this article had obviously a very deep meaning to me personally, but also it's just it was a nice family tradition, and it happened to pertain to Thanksgiving. So once again, this started back in 2004. I started reading this article on the show that I used to film on Channel 19 called Inside Northern Hamilton County, and we got a good response as far as people enjoyed the reading. And then obviously, since Channel 19 went away about a year ago, I began reading it on YouTube, and once again got good feedback. And this has the reading of the tradition has now become a tradition in itself. So without further ado, I'm going to read the article. Not sure where to begin, so I'll just start typing and hope that I make some sense. You wrote an article in the September 8th Noblesville Daily Times that happened to affect me in a way you would have never even guessed. The article was titled, of all things, Cranberry Highway. I happened to be catching up on some reading, and I came across your article. The picture of the floating cranberries caught my eye. I lived in Wisconsin for a few years during my childhood and have visited the Dells. Here is how I connected with the article. I lost my mother, Diana Galt, just over a year ago. One long-standing tradition that started when we lived in Wisconsin was that we, my father, mother, and I, purchased these delicious cranberry nut pies from our local grocery store in Marshfield, Wisconsin. Well, shout out to Marshfield. When we moved back to Indianapolis in 1981, my mother continued the tradition by contacting the grocery store and discovering a way to get them shipped to us every year. The reason I tell you this is that when my mom passed away, so did all knowledge of how she went about ordering these every year. Who did she call? What was the company? And so on. I was never privy to that information, and my poor father had absolutely no idea. This was something that Mom did for us, and I wanted to continue the tradition. As I read your article, I had this little bit of hope that you might reference something that might at least give me a clue as to where to begin to look, seeing that the internet had been no help. And then there it was in the last paragraph, Cranberry Nut. As I read the name Mrs. Peterson, it all started to come back to me. I remember Mom telling me that the owner had passed away and that the recipe had been sold. We were still able to get them shipped even after that, just not in the same packaging that we were used to. First thing Monday morning, I jumped onto the internet and looked up the Country Cafe in Babcock, Wisconsin, and placed a call. I asked for the owner, and was informed that she was not in. I shared a brief summary of my reason for calling, and the sweet voice on the other end said, "I remember your mother." Chills went down my spine. It may seem silly, right? After all, it's only a pie. Wrong. It was another piece of a beautiful memory of my mother, whom I miss. The voice on the other end informed me that I needed to speak to Sherry, because that is who my mother had been dealing with since 1993. Sherry called me about an hour later, and the first words out of her mouth were, "I'm sorry to hear about your mom." Sherry remembered the yearly orders from my mother. Long story short, I've placed my order for this year's Thanksgiving dinner and dessert, and I cannot wait. Little did I know that I would have the information right in front of me in my local daily newspaper nearly 1 year to the day of my mother's passing. She died on September 14th, 2003, and I didn't read the article until September 12th, 2004. Thank you for writing about such a wide variety of places. I might never have found this again, and now the tradition will live on. Well, again, this was in 2004. A lot has changed since 2004, and sadly, Sherry the young lady that I had spoken to, has also passed away. And she and I struck up a friendship, if you will, and in fact she was going to share the recipe with me, but she passed away before she had that opportunity, sadly. What is exciting about it is this happened about 2 years ago. My wife knows the story very well and had tasted the pies, and being the chef that she is, started doing a little homework and a little research and trying to recreate my memory and the tradition. And after many hours of dedication to not only trying to find the contents on the internet and different cookbooks, the topping was the magic. And she found this recipe, and wouldn't you know it, she made this pie. And I remember thinking, well, I'm going to take a bite, and I'm going to give the old college try and smile and definitely recognize and appreciate her efforts. But much to my surprise, when I took a bite, not only did it taste fantastic, but it actually was a little better than the pie we had enjoyed all those many years. And of course, now it takes on a whole new meaning that my wife was willing and loved me enough to do all of that so our tradition can carry on. And so not only does the family tradition of this pie carry on, but now my wife is the one who creates it. And she does it for me and my family, and of course our little one, who probably will get to enjoy a little bit of the cranberry pie this year. So I'm very blessed in that regard. And again, the tradition carries on, which is what this is all about. So if you have family traditions, I hope you enjoy them tomorrow and whatever it is. If you don't have any traditions, all I can say is it's never too late. Thanks so much for everything you do and continue to do. And happy Thanksgiving from our home to yours. Take care and God bless. Bye-bye.